Whoever you are, you have some very persistent spirit guides and ancestors who woke me up not just 2 nights ago, but last night as well, so 2 nights in a row, to give me a very, I would say, very rich and beautiful and layered message. And it's interesting, actually, already I'm hearing interesting how the word rich came out, because yes, of course, I mean kind of like flavorful and juicy, and I'm almost hearing that someone here might be a chef or might be into cooking. That might be your hobby, your passion, or particularly your craft. So the first message that came out, and Spirit, please help me cohesively get all of these messages out and link them all together, because I do believe they're actually all related, but right now they're sort of just coming in from all angles, so please bear with me. So the first night, I said to you that there were 2 nights in a row that I was woken up. And the first night, I was woken up and I heard one very particular word. And that word was fearless. Now, this is not a word that I love, to be honest, and I have a very unique relationship with the word itself, because it's something that I've actually contemplated for myself not too long ago, actually. When I was younger, around the age of 16, I would say, my goal was to be fearless. Like, I was so crippled by fear. I had a lot of anxiety, and I was just really scared to try anything new or different. And ultimately, this came from me being so afraid to make a mistake, or to, and I put this in quotes because I think all of us here already understand, if you're on the spiritual path, you understand that everything happens for us for the purposes of growth, and that, there's no such thing really as mistakes, that they're all just opportunities, right? And I'm even hearing another channel right now, for anyone who is in school right now or taking any sort of test, and that channel is saying that this is not really a test, it's an opportunity. So maybe somebody here is taking an exam of some sort or has a test coming up. That's definitely a message for you. But back to the word fearless. After many, many years of trying to avoid fear in and of itself, I came to ultimately befriend my emotions. And in doing so, and by the way, one of the books I highly recommend, like classic to me, this should be Life 101, is Ask and It Is Given. If you have not read that book, it's a channeled Abraham book, which is channeled by Esther and Jerry Hicks. It's phenomenal. But I remember reading this book, recommended to me by a friend. And I came to realize, oh my goodness, emotions are here for a reason. Every emotion has a message for us, a purpose, something to tell us. And this includes fear. Now, interestingly, your ancestors are here, and they're saying that not all fear is real. And what I actually pulled, and what's interesting is that I was drawn to my angels and ancestors. I'm gonna show you the cover. My angels and ancestors deck. And I love this deck, but I've been really working with my archangel deck, my favorite deck right now. So I just haven't touched this one for a while, but I wanted to pull a card for clarity with the word fearless, and I knew that I wanted to use that deck even in the middle of the night when I woke up. And guess which card I pulled? The card I pulled is this, Hunter. Gorgeous card. Hopefully you can see that. And what it actually says is track down your fears and desires. And I thought, wow, how beautiful is that message? Here we have the word fearless coming out. And we have a message that says, track down your fears and desires. And I thought, wow, how interesting is that, that these are connected in the same sentence. And when I thought about it a little bit further, it hit me and it all kind of came together and was connected. And I understood, and I kind of meditated on this card for further clarity, that yes, our greatest desires are literally right underneath our fears, because we have this, and again, your ancestors are telling me that a lot of these fears are kind of ingrained in our DNA, in our lineage, in our instincts, in our, automatic, quick instincts, because we were plagued by fear back in the day. We were being, chased by predators. But we've come to, unfortunately, confuse a lot of this fear, what we experience as fear, with actual life-threatening fear. And the two are very, very different. And your ancestors right now are rooting for you. They're behind you, and they are helping you to overcome your fear. Now, back to this story, and I know I'm jumping all over the place a little bit. I'm getting like a million messages coming through. It started off as one, and then I sat down and I got a lot coming through. So thank you, Spirit, again, for helping me just cohesively channel all of these messages to this collective. But so after reading Ask and It Is Given, I started to sit with my fear, and I started to ground it, which for me meant that I would get my nervous system into a calm and relaxed state, a state where I knew that I was safe, and where I could actually hold my fear, almost like, and I'm seeing the image of a bear, which is interesting with its cubs, almost like nurturing an inner child, or a child who's maybe scared of monsters, let's say. And wow, I have my Google backgrounds on this TV right next to me, and there's an image literally of a tunnel, and it looks like a mother and her child holding hands. So there you go for confirmation. Once you hold and ground this fear, like I said, for me that meant through meditation, but this is really just ultimately an awareness shift. Once you recognize that you're not in a life-threatening position, okay, use your discernment, because there is fear, which is obviously here to protect us. For example, a fear of touching a hot stove is very valid because it literally keeps you safer. But what I'm really referring to is a fear of going for your dreams. That's the big message. Thank you so much, Spirit, that is just coming through right now. But once you begin to ground this fear, you can actually, and this is what I did, I recognize that it's not my goal to be fearless, because fear is a very valid part of the human experience. But it is my work, and it is I'm hearing it is your right. Your ancestors are saying that this is your right and your responsibility. Wow, thank you. Your right and your responsibility to look at that fear as an adult and ask yourself if there's really something that you need to protect yourself from, or if it's just your desires, your greatest desires that you're trying to protect from rejection. I'll give you an example of this, and I'm being asked to speak about this right now, I understand. When I started reading tarot cards, I was reading just for myself. And I did this because I was going through a very confusing time. It was my big, spiritual awakening, my first one. And I wanted a way to just have this mirror of energy, of my own energy. And so I wasn't trying to predict the future. I was more so trying to understand myself, to mirror myself. And so tarot reading and oracle card reading became a very sacred act for me. It became an act of me connecting to spirit, connecting to my higher self, and it was and still is, a very intimate experience. And I did not start reading. I actually went on to get certified as an angel guide and an angel oracle card reader. And I began to really, really cherish my experience each and every day when I would sit down for myself. Again, this was just for me. This was my, passion. And more than that, it was my happy place. It was what I was, and obviously now, you know how the story ends, is my number one life's work, what I'm devoted to and what I'm most passionate and lit up by. But it wasn't for many years, even after getting certified, even after doing multiple actually daily readings for myself and being so accurate and connected to the messages of the cards, having many, many decks. It wasn't until so long after that I actually worked up the courage to do a reading for someone else. And the reason that I was unable to work up that courage was because I was confusing this fear, with something that was really life-threatening. And the word courage keeps coming up because this is exactly what I've learned about being fearless versus being courageous. On one hand, being fearless felt to me like the goal, but then I recognized that it's not my goal to deny a very valid emotion, fear, but it is my goal, like as I was starting to say earlier, to get grounded and recognize what's really fear and what's not. And so I ended up alchemizing, and you are now being asked to do this as well, to critically look at your fear. And instead of being fearless, you are being asked now to be courageous and to track down your fears, to sit with them, to hold them. And then to be courageous, which means to feel the fear, yes, right? Because we're not denying any emotions, right? Again, they're all valid, but to still do the thing. And I think the reason that bear was coming up earlier actually was because bears, they go through a cycle of hibernation, right? And after the hibernation, they are meant to come out of that. And in your case, I think what this message is saying is that you have been in a cycle of hibernation, but like winter's over, baby. You need to come out of hibernation. And when I say need, it's interesting that I said need, like the word need to come out of hibernation rather than saying, you can come out of hibernation now. This is a critical word because I'm being told right now that even though you think your craft, I'm getting that there's a lot of like talent, artists, musicians, performers, again, chefs, healers, speakers, a lot of, again, performance energy, being on stage or being heard, podcasters or bloggers or vloggers or writers, authors, producers, just that kind of energy. Wow, these messages are speeding in. Oh my goodness. But you are being asked, because I'm hearing right now that the world needs your magic. So interesting. Okay, I am now being asked, please excuse me, but I'm gonna go with it. I'm being asked to kind of give like an interesting quantum entanglement example at this moment. I'm gonna quickly break it down, and I think I'm already understanding how this is relating to everything. But essentially quantum entanglement, okay, I remember reading or hearing something, a great example of this. Let's say, bear with me, let's say you are going through a drive-through, okay? You're going to Starbucks and you get a bagel and you also order a coffee, okay? And then you pull up to the drive-through and you roll down your window and you're getting your order, and the first thing that the barista hands to you is your coffee. I said bagel and coffee, right? Okay, let's hope I did. So you grab your coffee, and instantly when you grab your coffee, what happens? you instantly are able to now know that the next thing, the next item that the barista is going to be handing to you is what? It's your bagel. Why? Because you ordered 2 things. You already got one of them, and so you now know the other. So in a weird, most basic way, right? Because quantum entanglement, like quantum physics, we know is not as simple as bagels and coffee. But in its most basic sense, I'm being asked to explain this to you right now, because as you can see, the bagel, even though it's totally separate from the coffee, they're entangled. They affect one another, because when you got one, you knew that the other part of your order would be the other one. So that's how all humans are connected across the world, how all things are interconnected. And so going back to when I said that you need to come out of hibernation now, I'm hearing that you are being, now this is a bit of tough love, but I'm being asked to say it exactly like this. You are being selfish right now by hiding your gift, by hiding from the world, by being too concerned about what others will think of you, or by being too protective over your deepest desires, like I was with my card reading, right? Because, you know, when I finally did do that first card reading, and I saw, you know, the tears in the eyes of the other woman in front of me, and how, you know, me sharing my gift gave her anything, hope, clarity, information, you know. I don't know how it affected her life after that, but I know in that moment I was so connected with her. I was so close to her, and both of us were so close to source, to spirit, to our higher selves. And wow, what a gift that is. And so I'm being told that your magic, the thing that you are protecting out of fear, out of, you know, this instinctual fear, has the same effect on the world. That's where the quantum entanglement comes in, because its message for you is that your life is not just about you. It's not just about, oh, I'm gonna put my craft out there, what if people don't like it? And I actually remember, this was kind of one of the points that Rick Rubin made in his book, The Creative Act, where he said, you know, your work is not to figure out how your art or your craft or your creativity will be received. Your job as an artist, as a creator, and all of us are creators. It doesn't matter, you know, if you don't consider yourself creative or you're not like a quote unquote artist. We are all here to create, right? Your job is to put your creation out into the world. And I'm being told that the world needs your magic right now. And I want to say something else here that's coming through. If you've ever been to a performance, or you know what? I'm also being given a kind of a simpler example. If you've ever watched a movie, right? And it brought you to tears, let's say there was an emotional moment or something you could really relate to. Or even, wow, okay, thank you, even listened to a song and you were kind of brought to tears, or you were moved to tears. The reason that expression, being moved, is because what happens is that your spirit is being woken up, like literally just in this exact same way as you woke me up in my dreams. Your ancestors, your spirit guides are giving me messages. In that same way, your music, your performance, your craft, your art is moving other people. And when you do it, you awaken their spirits. And when you awaken their spirits and you connect them even just for a moment back to their real self, their spirit, their higher self, you are raising the frequency, you are raising the vibration of the world, okay? This is not about just you. This is about all of us. All of us must share our gifts and talents. And you are being so encouraged by your ancestors to do so right now. Your ancestors are saying the fear, the threat, the trauma that's ingrained in your nervous system is not as real as it seems when it comes to your gifts. and the world needs you. Needs you. You guys, the world needs you to share this. And it's interesting because I feel like I'm about to cry right now. I feel emotional about this because I know that whoever is watching this, you guys know what I mean. You know what I mean when, wow, whoa. You know what I mean when you put your magic out there and it's received and you feel this sense of overwhelming love. Your heart chakra opens up and you open up. I'm hearing the heart chakra of the planet. Whoo, baby, what a message. Whew. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. Wow, what a message. I don't even know if I said everything I was supposed to or not. But I want to move on because I told you guys that that I had two dreams, 2 nights in a row. I was woken up, and I want to move on to this second one because it's very, very much related. So last night, in my dream, I was actually dancing, and I was like a professional dancer. Now, when I was 16, interestingly, and 17, when I was kind of in my earlier teenage years, I actually was a competitive ballroom dancer. And so, you know, it wasn't the weirdest thing for me to have a dream about being a dancer, because, like I said, I did that competitively for many, many years, and I, you know, did quite well. But, you know, what happened at some point was that I started to take my craft, my art, right, dancing, too seriously. And I got out of flow and I got too much in my head. And I lost my love for dancing. And it was interesting because I would go out to clubs, parties, events, weddings for so many years after I stopped dancing. And I even remember my mom always used to say to me, like, why don't you go on the dance floor and dance? You're such an incredible dancer. You trained, like, you know, competitively for all of these years. Why don't you wanna, like, don't you feel like dancing? And I would always kind of just be sitting back and I'd be like, no, because there's too much. Straighten your legs, you know, point your arm, point your toes, you know, posture up, and it became too intellectual for me. And last night in my dream, I was dancing, but I was floating at the same time. I woke up, I remember this morning, and I was just like I was loving it. I was still, my body was in the energy of it, and my brain hadn't gotten involved yet. My intellect, my ego had not yet attacked this, and I was so in the flow. And what I'm hearing right now is that you need to infuse joy and flow and allow spirit to take you to a new degree of mastery in whatever craft we're talking about right now, because obviously I'm, you know, speaking to a collective of performers and creatives and artists, and, you know, I named a lot of things earlier, but whatever it is that craft that you're being asked to give your expression of to the world right now, you're being asked, and I keep getting this image of, you know, that like not very safe game, but the game of trust, literally. Only play this if you like will actually catch the person. But when you're playing trust, oh, thank you, Spirit. I'm hearing the most beautiful message. God is saying, Spirit, your guides are saying that when you're playing the game of trust with them, they will never drop you. And you're being asked to lean in, to fall in. Yes, thank you, to fall back in love with your art once again. Wow, incredible message for today. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right here and to remind you that you matter. Your art is not silly. Your passions are not just hobbies. They are magic, and they are changing and lifting the entire vibration of the whole world. You are needed right now. Okay? You're needed right now. Track down your fears, and right there, you will find your desires. Be courageous. I love you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Until next time.